Hi and welcome to the Azam Shop channel. I'm your host Muhammad Azam, and in this part we are actually going to build a Hello World application. Okay, and this is the learning iOS development part number 3. If you haven't watched the first 2 parts, I highly recommend that you do so. So in the first part we created a Windows-based application, and it's a very simple application. You can see this is, I haven't actually added any code apart from maybe let's see, in the interface builder. So we can actually remove these things since we are not going to use that. Okay, here we go. Now we are going to add a new controller, okay, to our project. So let's actually do that. If you don't understand what I'm doing right now, hey, no problem. I'm going to explain it in the next tutorial, and we are going to start from the learning objective C. Okay, so here we go. We say new file, and we are going to add a new UI view controller. Now, as I mentioned in the previous screencast, that everything that you do in iPhone development, it has to be the model view controller pattern. Okay, so model view and controller, and now we are adding a controller with XIB file for user interface. So I'm going to check that. It's already checked, which means that I will use that user interface a designer to create my user interface, which is okay. What do you want to call it? I'm just going to call it Hello World View Controller. Okay, and let's save it. So it adds these 3 files, and let me actually drag the files over here somewhere. Here we go. So you can see the header file, the implementation file, which is the .m, and the interface file, which is the XIB file. All right. So let's go ahead, and in the interface file, I'm just going to say, I'm just going to drag a label. God, need to turn off these things, huh? Okay, here we go. So I'm just going to drag a label and go ahead and change its property to something else, like Hello World. All right. Let's actually align it so that, here we go. Now what we need to do is, when the page actually loads, we want to display this XIB file or this interface. Okay, this is, let's say, your first screen that you see when you run your iPhone or when you run the app. So we have to go to the implementation file, okay, and I'm just going to say over here, because we have to tell the implementation file that we will be using the Hello World view controller. So we are going to say included, okay, and we can go in the implementation file, and right inside the did finish launching with options method, we're going to use that. So I'm just going to say over here Hello World controller, and I can say over here I don't know, controller, Hello World controller. Here we go. Okay, and I can simply say over here now self dot window, let's see, self dot window dot, does it have the root view controller? Here we go, and controller. Okay, let's actually build this. Since we are building it, I think for the first time, it takes a while, and let's actually run it and see what we see on the screen. Okay, so here's the iPhone simulator, and it's kind of processing right now the application. I'm just going to move it onto the right hand side, and here we go. So we actually loaded, we added a new file or a new view controller, which is the Hello World view controller, and we also checked that we want the interface designer file, which is the XIB zip file, and finally we went to the app delegate, which is the one of the files that executed first after the main file, of course, main.m. And over here we are saying that, okay, we created an instance of the Hello World view controller, and then we assign the window dot root view controller to the controller. Now, how the iPhone SDK, or whenever you view on the screen, is organized is that you have a window and then you have multiple views on the window. Okay, so and what root view controller is actually doing is that it's setting up the controller that will be triggered first. And when we assign this controller to the root view controller, the view of the root of the controller will be the first thing that you will see on the screen. And in this case, the view is this, right? If you actually see it over here, it's the view. Okay, your file owner will always be the controller, which in this case is Hello World View controller. And you can actually add multiple things over here, like a button or something. And if I run this, you can see that we are actually adding on this view. It's pretty simple. Okay, now if you have created an application using a different template, like maybe the view-based template or some other template, it might be a little bit different. But I like to create it using a window-based application template, because it just provides you the skeleton of the basic structure to start working on your iPhone app. Okay, so that's pretty much it. If you haven't understand what's going on right now, don't worry, because in the next tutorial we are actually going to dive into Objective-C language, and trust me, Objective-C language is not as bad as it sounds. Okay, I'm going to make it really simple for you, and only you will learn the concepts that will be necessary to create your application. All right, hope you enjoyed this. Thank you very much. One more thing I like to point out is I do accept donations. If you think that these videos are helping you in any form or any way, then I do accept PayPal donations. You can send the donation to azamsharp@gmail.com using PayPal, and that will really help a lot. Thanks a lot, and have a nice day.